The Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 20, text number 37 and 38. Iti sayantanim sandhyam asura pramadayatim pralobhyantim jagrihu matva mudhadiyastriyam iti sayantanim sandhyam asura pramadayatim pralobhayantim jagrihu matva mudhadiyastriyam iti sayantanim sandhyam asura pramadayatim pralobhayantim jagrihu matva mudhadiyastriyam Mataji's? Anybody else? Yes? Sayantanim sandhyam Yes, please, if they want. Iti sayantanim sandhyam asura pramadayatim iti in this way, sayantanim, the evening, sandhyam, twilight, asuraha, the demons, pramadayatim, behaving like a wanton woman, pralobhayantim, alluring, jagrihu, seized, matva, thinking to be, mudadiyaha, unintelligent, striyam, a woman. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman showing herself in her alluring form, and they seized her. Please repeat. The asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman showing herself in her alluring form, and they seized her. Purport. The Asuras are described here as Mudha Diyaha, meaning that they are captivated by ignorance just like the ass. The demons were captivated by the false, glaring beauty of this material form, and thus they embraced her. There's a second verse, so I'll just read through that. Prahasya bhava gambiram jigrantyatmanam atmana kantya sasarja bhagavan gandava apsharam ganam. With a laugh full of deep significance, the worshipful Brahma then evolved by his own loveliness, which seemed to enjoy itself by itself, the hosts of Gandharvas and Apsaras. Purport. The musicians in the upper planetary systems are called Gandharvas, and the dancing girls are called Apsaras. After being attacked by the demons and evolving a form of a beautiful woman in the twilight, Brahma next created Gandharvas and Apsaras. Music and dancing employed in sense gratification are to be accepted as demoniac, but the same music and dancing, when employed in glorifying the Supreme Lord as kirtan, are transcendental, and they bring about a life completely fit for spiritual enjoyment. Amagina Timanandhasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshushun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My eyes were tight shut, and my spiritual master, he forced my eyes open with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. The original speaker, he has to recuperate. He works with the bullocks, and they're very passionate animals, and he met with a small accident, so he has to rest. So please excuse me if I'm a little bit late and unprepared. We'll do our best with all of your help to make some sense of what's happening at this stage in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm reminded of another devotee who was engaged with the cows, because one word here in the verse says Mudha Diyaha. Mudha Diyaha. So this devotee, and he used to dress Krishna Balaram, who were also cowherd boys, and he identified with this Mudha Diyaha. He used to sign his posts, your servant, Mudha Godas. So devotees, they express that they are simple, captured by the lower modes. In fact, the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he describes at one point, I'm a wretch, I'm lower than a worm in stool. Anybody who chants my name becomes sinful. But of course these expressions, they are expressions of humility, and they don't take away anything from the incredible value of a devotee. Somebody who has their eyes open. The spiritual master has forced their eyes open with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. For instance, my friend who used to call himself Mudha Godas, he was dressed, he's passed away, he was dressing Krishna Balaram, and he was in his normal flustered mood and wasn't satisfied. But when we had the chance to come before Krishna Balaram and see how they'd been dressed, you could see the cowherd boy there. They were in forest attire, beautiful, coloured with some forest leaves. Here we have some probably lemon myrtle or gum leaves decorating Krishna and Balaram. They were dancing. They were having fun in the forest. So this is the ultimate goal of our lives, to appreciate the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a person, and we can have a relationship with them, and we can participate. In the Nectar of Devotion, it was very nicely described how Krishna and Balaram used to go out into the pasturing grounds and they would play ball together. They would get bale fruits or other things, and they would play ball together. So that became very, I wouldn't mind playing football with God. Well, so what's the difference between here and there and playing football with my friends? But this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in engaging in such activities and such pastimes, there's a perfection in reciprocation. Here in the material world, the modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance, they afflict us. They're constantly vying for supremacy. And so at different times, they are guiding us or controlling us. Difficult to see clearly. Even within the material world, one can achieve a situation of goodness, but it's not good enough. The only stable state is pure goodness, Suddha-sattva, and that's Krishna consciousness. That's Vasudeva-sattva, being able to be focused on Krishna. So before we get to that point, then we are seized, as the description here in this verse, by the modes. We're at a certain stage in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Lord Brahma Maitreya is describing Lord Brahma's order of creation. And he creates everything, whether he likes it or not. His intelligence is imbued with the potency of Krishna, and he has to create everything to keep the conditioned souls who are averse to Krishna, who are envious of Krishna, engaged, believing that they can be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Controlling and enjoying, as a recent speaker was describing. That's the nature of our sojourn in this material world. We want to control and we want to enjoy. Just like if you're going shopping and you come to an ice cream shop and you see all the amazing ranges of ice cream in there, and until you can control an ice cream in your own hand, you can't really enjoy. So you have to endeavour to control some of that material energy so that you can enjoy it. Devotee doesn't need to do that. Devotee appreciates, nice colours and nice flavours, and Krishna's amazing what he can provide. So the Asuras have Rakshasas and Yakshasas and all these types of human. There's 8,400,000 different species, and 400,000 of those are considered human. From the lowest to the top, to the demigods, to the cannibals, to the weird and wonderful variety of two-armed, two-legged, some sort of a brain creatures called human beings. And all of the different forms have particular combinations of the modes. And the modes generate desires. We want to enjoy in this way, we want to enjoy in that way. The demons, at this point, they've been portrayed as mudha, deer, like asses, captivated by the mode of ignorance. And here is a graphic example of how ignorant they are. They have mistaken, in their incredible mode of passion and ignorance, twilight, created by Lord Brahma, to be a beautiful woman. There are psychologists and psychiatrists, they present their patients with different images, and they request, what do you see there? And they're just abstract, but most people, they see sex. It's the shackles, the binding force that keeps us here in the material world. I read a statement that Maya doesn't have to work very hard in order to keep us here. She's got a couple of potencies, the bewildering potency and the holding down potency. She pushes you off the path and then she holds you down. But she doesn't have to work so very hard because she's got sex desire as one of her implements. So this allurement of sex has created in the asuras, or has enabled them to develop rose-coloured glasses, whatever they're absorbed in. They see twilight, which is, it's opposite to the morning dawn or pre-dawn, which is it's a beautiful atmosphere. It's conducive for spiritual advancement, spiritual development. You even just looking up at the stars, you see the stars in the sky and you think, wow, such a huge expanse and so many things. Well, I'm so small. Wow, this is great, big. And you contemplate. At twilight, a different atmosphere, because through the day the modes have progressed, and the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion are more prominent. So at twilight, it's time to enjoy, it's time to party. It's time to go and get what we've been looking for in the material world. So the demons at twilight, their senses, their minds go crazy, and they've conjured up a form of a beautiful woman. And it's just an image which just absorbs them. They see her activities, they see a slight movement, and they just imagine. They imagine so many things, and oh, this person is for me, I can enjoy, or they're revealing this, and they like me, and a glance here, this way and that way. And what an opportunity to enjoy. So they've been captured, they've been seized by that enjoying and controlling propensity, which takes us away from our original understanding of who I actually am. I'm not this body. Jivera Swarupoi Nitya Krishna Das. I'm not this body, and beyond that, if I'm not the body, what am I? I'm a spirit soul, and what's the business of a spirit soul? To engage in service. And this is anathema. This is abhorrent to most people who don't have a glimpse of spiritual reality. To be a servant, I want to be the master. I'm the one. I'm the controller. I can do whatever I like. But another statement is, if you want to play, you have to pay. Unless you're actually engaging as a servant, then you've got to take responsibility for your actions. And that means you've got to pay. So all those moments of indulgence, mode of passion, with mode of passion there's always distress. So a mode of passion appears like nectar in the beginning, but it ends up like poison. It looks good, and you take it and you taste it and you try and enjoy, but then there's the distress that's always following. We should see, our intelligence should click in. Okay, here's the mode of passion. Watch out. It's going to bite me. It's going to come around the back and I'm going to suffer. I've got to pay. Whereas to stay situated in the mode of goodness, to stay situated with intelligence, driving out, no, I'm a servant of Krishna. He's giving this wonderful situation. Prabhupada, he was quoted in a couple of classes before by Ramburu Mataji, that he was in a darshan, Prabhupada was leading a darshan, and different people came in. Mataji, her friend was from France. So she walked in And Prabhupada, in the middle of the darshan, said, "Oh, the French women are the most beautiful." Still in his intelligence, Prabhupada, again, he was asked, okay, beautiful women. And then he related the story about Maharaj Yudhisthira. He was once questioned, "You're living with Queen Kunti. She's a very, very attractive, and Draupadi, most exquisite, beautiful form and embodiment of that feminine energy. So you're all constantly there, and what do you do? How can you avoid becoming allured to this energy, which is so attractive? So attractive, just the raising of an eyebrow." Once Kadamba Kanana Maharaj was sitting here on the Vyasasana, and he was talking about the allurement of the feminine form. And he was saying, like, I sit here, and if accidentally my dhoti goes up and you see a hairy leg, you don't get agitated. But if a woman, it's just immediate, just this energy. There can be a whole lot of men in a room, and there's a particular atmosphere. But a woman walks in, somebody possessed with that feminine energy, and then it just changes the atmosphere. It changes the atmosphere. So that's a Shakti, it's a potency. There's a Shakti. It travels about 6 feet, 8 feet. It's very powerful. You come close to that energy, you get affected by it. So Maharaj Yudhisthira was asked the question, so you're in this vicinity, you're in this environment, how do you not succumb? How do you not become affected? What do you do? So Maharaj Yudhisthira's answer was, nothing. You just, by culture, by intelligence, by boundaries, by understanding the nature of the energy, and it's described by Chanakya Pandit, that an educated person, a learned person, there's only 3 things you need to actually possess in order to be regarded as a learned person. And that's the understanding that another person's possessions, you see somebody's possessions around, they're untouchable. They don't belong to you, they're untouchable. You don't have the right. That's not your quota. And if you want to be treated nicely, then you have to treat others nicely. If you're feeling harassed and disturbed, then maybe you're harassing, so just back off. Control yourself, and then you won't experience that. And the third thing, which is prevalent still in the Vedic culture and in the land of Bharatvash, that one should regard every woman, except for one's wife, as one's mother. And one naturally wants to respect one's mother. You can play around, you can have a loving relationship with your mother, but there's ultimately respect. Because mother nurtures, protects. We've come from their body. They've provided the ingredients for us to have a facility so we can engage in service. We can live in this material world. It comes from our mother. So to have that mood of regarding every woman except for the if we are married as our mother, and then offering respect, then that's a safety mechanism. That's protection. And that means you're educated. You're cultured. You're not a mudha, not an ass-like person who is driven just to work hard for a little bit of pleasure at the end of the day. So, very graphic example of how much the asuras are controlled by the modes of material nature, and how it's not nice to associate with such people. A devotee, they learn in the course their activities in preaching, that you have to discriminate. And one who partakes of the atheistic nature of a demon, you have to avoid them. You don't aggravate them, unless you can kill their demoniac mentality. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that was his speciality. He could convert even animals, pashu, even animals into devotees, just by his association, his influence. Rarely we can do that. Sometimes that we agitate a demon, and then they become inimical, and then there's more offense created, and it's a big jamela, big mess. So that's the description here. Lord Brahma, he's finished, I believe. There's no more discussion here about this twilight phenomenon. And now he's moved into another phase of his creation, and it's described to be like moonlight. It's dangerous to drive at dusk, twilight. There's funny light. Then as soon as that's over, then there's moonlight. And moonlight is described to be his own loveliness. We look at the creation and we can understand this is Krishna's energy. It's wonderful, all of the artistic flowers and the sounds, the birds singing. That's Krishna. And just like we get an example of the peacock, all those beautiful iridescent and alluring colours, that's Krishna's artistic sense. It's like an artist wants to paint, wants to create. So Krishna's created these amazing, alluring things, and the sounds and the interaction. So moonlight, and from his own loveliness, Lord Brahma, he chuckles before he moves on. The demons, they've had their playground. And next he creates, from an aspect of himself, the moonlight, the Gandharvas and the Apsaras, the heavenly singers and the heavenly dancing girls. There's an interesting section of the Srimad Bhagavatam where Narada Muni describes how he in his previous life, or one life before his previous life, he was a Gandharva, Upabaharana. And he was very attractive. Gandharvas, they're singers and dancers, actors, people on the stage. They have some, again, alluring, they're very attractive. Maybe some of them are a little bit strange, but they're not all it takes to be considered to be a hero or like a supermodel. It's just have the right things in the right place. You don't have to be stunning. Even the most beautiful woman in the material world is described to be like a frog compared to the heavenly damsels, to the higher. So you just have to have things in the right place, and you're head and shoulders above the others. So the actors and the actresses, the Gandharvas and the Apsaras, they're considered to be that department in the creation. They're special. So Narada Muni, as in a previous life, Upabaharana, he was very attractive. He had a good voice. He was happy to be in the association of lusty women. So as a Gandharva, as a singer, you get a job. You've got to go and perform kirtan. He was invited to Brahma Loka. There was a big jagya going on, and he was invited to be part of the kirtan party. And when he got there, due to bad association, he became a plaything, a dancing dog in the hands of the women. And he was singing for their pleasure. He was practically cinema songs. He wasn't glorifying Vishnu. It's described in the purport there that kirtan means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. It has to, when you're singing, you're supposed to be glorifying the Supreme. She loves me, yeah. Love me do. So there was another beautiful song written by George Harrison, who was a devotee, who knew the actual, and something in the way she moves, attracts me like no other lover. He's talking about Radharani. And that the profound nature and the way it affects us, it's a slightly different quality. We were in a shopping centre and just going about our business, and suddenly this, my sweet Lord, Hari, it came out. I was wondering where it was from, and I just looked around, and then there was this loudspeaker. Somebody had the radio on, but just absorbing, lovely song. And you can sing these songs forever and ever and ever. She loves me, yeah, yeah. You get bored, you get tired. There's something tantamount which is wrong about those things. Yeah, she loves me, but then she hates me, and I'm going to get divorced, and there's all of the bills and the babies and the business, and it doesn't work. Look attractive, but you push the time button. In 50 years' time, saggy and baggy, daggy and fat. What can you do? It's just the nature of the material energy. But Krishna, he's eternal, and his pastimes with Radha, they're eternal and they're ever fresh. So the Gandharvas, they're supposed to be singing about those wonderful activities. Upabaharana, he started singing cinema songs, so he got cursed. Those in charge of the Jagya, they discerned, okay, there's something wrong with this kirtan. It's driven by lust. It's for the wrong person. So he was, you're acting like a Sudra. Become a Sudra. So he went home, and the curse started taking effect, and he just lay down and died. And in his next life, he became the son of a Sudrani. For him, fortunately, he was living, his mother and he were living in an ashram. And during the month of not Kartik, the Chaturmas, when it's too wet to travel, then the great sages, they came and they took up residence for 4 months in this ashram. In the purport in the Bhagavatam, they're described to be Bhakti Vedantas. They were just great advanced devotees. And their activities, they would discuss about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. They would have kirtan, and then they would also take prasadam. So the mother and the son, they were very fortunate. They were able to serve these devotees. So after being a Gandharva, then he was a Sudra. They were serving great devotees. And then just by the association of devotees, the nature of a devotee became attractive. And Narada Muni, Upapaharana, as a young boy, he wanted to taste the food remnants. Mahaprasadam. Mahaprasadam is rare, unique. Mahaprasadam once, it used to be very rare. Now it's available all the place, different restaurants and homes, and prasadam is everywhere. Still, I remember when I realised how valuable prasadam was, I thought, how is it that I've got prasadam? And I took some and I distributed it to the peacocks, and it was just, it's a very rare ingredient. So once, again, I think it was Narada Muni, he got some Mahaprasadam, he gave some to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva became ecstatic because he had some Mahaprasadam and he ate it. And then his wife came up and said, "Did you have anything for me? Where's my share?" He said, "Oh, I forgot." So she realised the value of Mahaprasadam. She looked under his fingernails and she found a couple little skerricks of it, and she took Mahaprasadam, and then she became in ecstasy as well. Mahaprasadam is so uplifting. So this young boy, he managed to, he asked the devotees, "Please, can I take your remnants?" You don't have to ask. If you see a great devotee and can I take your plate? And you go and before you wash the plate, you take a little remnant. I don't know whether it's still kosher nowadays because of all these bugs and stuff like that. But still, it's still good. It's transcendental. Mahaprasadam cannot be contaminated. So he takes some prasadam. So he asked for permission. He got some prasadam, and that enhanced his spiritual advancement. He wanted to become a devotee. He wanted to become like a devotee. But there was one problem. The Bhaktivedantas, they moved on. It was the end of the rainy season. And his mother was there. And his mother was attached to him, and he was attached to his mother. So he couldn't become a devotee. He couldn't go off travelling. Krishna made an arrangement. His mother got bitten by a snake. and died. So Narada Muni then, he went off and travelled and practiced devotional service. And he was meditating, and then he was really absorbed in meditation, trying to see Krishna. And then Krishna appeared before him. And he was overwhelmed. He was in ecstasy. Krishna's here. But then Krishna disappeared. He said, "You'll never see me again in this life. I've just appeared before you to encourage you." Just like we get a little taste sometime, a taste of the nectar of kirtan. We think, "Oh, wow, it's so wonderful, I want it." But that's just a taste, a special taste. When we first start devotional service, we get a taste. But then it hides. Sometimes you go to a temple and the darshan is so quick, they open the curtains and they close the curtains. They're frightened that the deity is going to jump off the altar and go and travel with the devotees. So you've got to really grasp the moment, get a taste. But then even if you can't grasp it and if you can't maintain it, you have to remember it. You remember it in your heart. You just, "Oh, yes, devotional service is nice. And it will be there again. And in the future, in due course of time, my just rewards will be there. I'll be able to dance with Radha and Krishna." So he was Narada Muni as Upaparana, as the Sudra boy. He continued on, and then he just worked hard. You've got to work hard to overcome the influence of the material energy and actually become absorbed wholly and solely in Krishna. And then when he became older, then eventually he left his body. And the way he left his body, because he's already perfected, it's described to be like lightning and illumination. If you're no longer absorbed in the body, you're absorbed in Krishna, then the departure from the material world, and immediately there's illumination. You're there in the spiritual world. You just continue on. There's no gap. So that was, and then in his next life he became Narada Muni. So as a Gandharva, you've got some good qualities, you've got some good looks and educations. If it's useless. It won't help you to feelingly call out to Krishna. You need to have that feeling of akinchana gochara, materially exhaustion. So somehow this Gandharva, he got cursed, and then the result of the curse was he just take birth as a Sudra, and then by the association of the devotees, he got the chance to get a higher position, and then as Narada Muni, the great sage amongst the demigods, who was constantly travelling, singing Radhika Ramana, Radhika Ramana, playing on his what's it called? Sitar. Veena. Yeah, kirtan. So kirtan, singing. People like to sing. You sing in the shower, you sing, you like to sing. So if you sing about Krishna, then as Prabhupada says at the end of the purport, when employed in glorifying the Supreme Lord as kirtan, singing and dancing are transcendental, and they bring about a life completely fit for spiritual enjoyment. You want to enjoy the most lasting, the most real enjoyment is spiritual enjoyment. So we have to become fit to be able to engage in spiritual activities. So that fitness comes by chanting, dancing, serving the devotees, feasting, discussing the philosophy, exercising our brains. If we don't use our brains, then it becomes like a devil's workshop. So we have to have material for exercising the brain and discussing and hearing and participating in devotional service, in the association of devotees. That's Srimad Bhagavatam. That's our discussion for today. But we still have time. Can somebody please take over and add something more? Mani Bandhu Prabhu.
Thanks for class. Just a bit of a side point with Narada Muni. I think it's mentioned Laghu Bhagavatam Reader, Rupa Goswami, that gives the list of the Shaktavesh avatars. And so, of course, Narada Muni is one of them. But one definition given of Shaktavesh is that have eternal body. So the question comes up, how does Narada Muni, he's in a Gandharva body and then a Sudrana body, how does that work? So I actually asked Banu Swami about this. He mentioned that, I think it was in the Garga Samhita, that Radharani at one stage cursed Narada Muni to become a Gandharva. And it was all basically Leela to, Gandharva, and then as a son of a Sudrani, just to show the potency of the Bhaktivedantas, the great devotees and the Prasad. And eventually he regained his eternal Sarup as Narada Muni.
Yeah.
So.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, you mentioned eternal body, and I thought, we're spirit souls. So even the spirit soul, even we can get squashed, we can get damned, we can get punished and tortured. We remember Krishna, then we gratefully accept that. Krishna is using us to teach others.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking in the purport of verse 26, or 37, the demons, as you mentioned, they were captivated by this form of twilight that Lord Brahma had created. They were captivated, it said, by the false, glaring beauty of this material form. And I was thinking that sort of really describes our situation in the material world, doesn't it? That we are captivated by the glaring, beautiful form of the material energy.
Captured by Maya.
Yeah. Was it from Bhakti Vinod? He said, the dazzling, deadly liquid forms of the material energy. That's what it really describes.
Referring to wine in that liquid form. The material energy is just Krishna's energy, divine potency, Daiviyesha Gunamaya Mamamaya. Very difficult to overcome. And she's got us by the short and curly. She's just there's no way we can ignore. Prabhupada, he used to criticize his devotees. Only criticism of my devotees is that they are not afraid enough of Maya. Not afraid enough. So Maya, proper respect. We should be Kirtan Ras. Kirtan Ras is the only safe place. We should be absorbed always in calling out, crying for Krishna, to be able to be in a safe, secure position. Because otherwise we're easy target. And as I was saying, she's got sex desire there. We're in a prison. The prison bars, everybody's in a prison. You've got a gold chain or you've got a silver chain, but we're all in a prison. The prison of sex life, the shackles of sex life. Gross and subtle. Gross and subtle. So it's coming originally from Krishna. Every day when we do our puja, we recite a prayer. O Purushottam, I know no shame. Just as the minds of young boys are attracted to young girls, and the minds of young girls are attracted to young boys, please let my mind become attracted to you. It's natural, Krishna, but please, let's transplant that attraction into attraction for Krishna. So in order to do that, we have to see Krishna. I've got a friend in Mayapur. He comes before the deity, and his practice is to stand there for 2 hours in front of the deities. And I thought, well, I'm in and out. I see the deity, and I think, okay, I've got something to do. But it's a measure of how long you can stay with the deity. And so I stood next to him, and he was there, and he was saying, Krishna, today you've got a champak, a frangipani flower here, and you've got 7 different types of local flowers here. He was just going through and becoming absorbed. And when you become so absorbed in Krishna, then you've got memories. You can come back and you think, what was Krishna wearing today? What colour was Krishna wearing today? How did they manage to make him look so beautiful today? It was just this. It was something special. But Krishna is unlimited. Krishna is just adorable. And if we can't see Krishna, then there's other aspects of Krishna. Krishna and Prasadam. Krishna and the holy name. We have to become absorbed in seeing Krishna everywhere. A worthy practice. The business of devotional service. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhya jimam. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Offer your obeisance. Even paying your obeisances is coming closer to Krishna. You'll come back to me, I promise you this, because you're my very dear friend. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.